Welcome into Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, as named by the readers of the Lake City Reporter for their job in financial services, 11 straight years and running. The team from Gulf Coast Financial Services and founder and CEO, John Kuykendall, here with us as always, keeping us financially focused and up to date on everything we need to be doing or thinking about or considering for our financial well-being and achieving those important goals into the future. John, we always appreciate it. And this week, going to be talking about something that's been talked about in Washington a lot recently, which is cryptocurrencies. Seems scary, John. I mean, I'm still not sure if I totally get it.
Well, Peter, I'm not either. I mean, it's something we're learning about. It has been out there for a while now. My concern was that there was no regulation, no government regulation on it, how it was going to be handled, who was doing it. A lot of wild stories out there.
Well, I think that's two-sided, right? Is that
Yeah.
there are things that this provides as benefit, and then there are some drawbacks that are pretty apparent. And I guess everything in the financial world has its benefits and disadvantages. I mean, you could go from as simple as using the bank, benefits and disadvantages, all the way up to stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Any option out there has some things that it does well and then has some things that it doesn't do well. It's just seemed like over the last, I'll call it 10, 15 years, cryptocurrency has been this new frontier. And for a while, it was something that was almost intended to be off the radar. So I was not so surprised when it disappeared. But John, as you said, with more regulatory oversight, with some of the legislation that we've seen, with some of the audits, it's really been incepted and more mainstream incorporated into something that's probably going to be around a little while. And last week, as we are recording the show, last week in Washington was dubbed Crypto Week, and there were several additional new pieces of legislation that were either passed or moved forward in their progress. So one of them being the Genius Act, guiding and establishing national innovation for U.S. stablecoins. And like every act, I'm not sure we understand everything that's in it, but it's passed and now signed into law that there can be some adaptation and adoption of cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, and the main thing about that, Peter, is that act it mandates stable coins to be backed 1-to-1 with U.S. dollars or treasuries, and provides audit and reserve disclosures. So we actually know if they have the backing. We know if the dollars are there through the audit. One of the things was that they I think, is that the one where they can't pay interest?
Correct. Yes, I believe
Yeah,
so. Yes.
yeah. So they can't pay interest. So that's going to dissuade some people because they're putting money into this. And it is backed 1-for-1 US dollars, but I can't pay you a yield on it. You're just going to have to wait and see if it goes up.
Yeah, essentially tied to whatever the value of the
Hey.
dollar does
Mhm.
internally, intrinsically, not paying any kind of yield on it. Yeah, so mandates that it has some backing, it has something behind it, requires those audits and reserve disclosures, and prohibits the yield bearing, no interest on stablecoin balances. So again, just furthering the case that this is being mainstreamed and adopted. And then that was the one that passed. Now, there's two other acts that, at least as of the time we are talking here today, have not fully become law yet, but did make progress. The Clarity Act was passed by the House with a wide margin, by the way, bipartisan support in some of these things,
Yeah.
and pending in the Senate. It defines what a digital asset is, a commodity versus a security. It provided and assigned the SEC as the governing body that has oversight. Again, reduces legal uncertainties here that I think went along with cryptocurrencies for quite some time.
Well, yeah, Peter. I mean, they really weren't understood. They didn't have any clarity in them as far as what they were, how they worked, and so there was this mystique about them for a long time. And so I think the Clarity Bill will reduce the legal uncertainty, encouraging fund managers and institutions to enter the space for the first time. So it preserves retail self-custody rights, it said. And so it will be more regulated, more like traditional investments that we know. So I think that's really great. Now, it removes the risk of government controlled undermining the stable coins and decentralizing currency. But the government's not going to be involved in issuing cryptocurrency right away.
Well, I think this addresses two of the big concerns that I heard about cryptocurrencies, right? Number one, people were worried about a digital asset,
Right.
that they wouldn't have their cash in hand, which I do understand, but haven't we been on a digital transaction system since the inception of credit cards? Anyway, like that, all of that is being transacted in ones and details. It's ones and zeros. It's just that it's the details are delineated in dollars and cents, right?
Right.
Is
Yeah.
but the bigger one that I heard was, well, what if they can control our purchases or what we can spend, or like, can they shut our thermostats off if they don't agree that we should have our AC on, or can they say you can only buy a certain amount of groceries per week and limit, like if the government or some type of central banking entity is defining the currency that purchasers, and these acts went some measure of the way in helping to address those two things, I think.
Yeah, I think it clears regulatory jurisdiction of cryptocurrency as we know it, and it weakens the SEC oversight.
And then I also know, John, that for a long time there's been this kind of thought that the central banks control a lot of the currencies globally, systemically, and can manipulate those. The Fed is, not necessarily in their control of interest rates and the distribution of dollars. Um, always keeping the value of Americans as the priority in their best interest, right? There's
Yes.
sort of been that premise. Well, the final bill that made some progress, the anti-CBDC, the anti-central bank digital currency, basically blocks the Fed from offering retail banking or tracking individual transactions within cryptocurrency. Now, a plus and a minus, right? Is there some room here for lack of oversight that could possibly lead to some other unintended consequences and problems or anything,
Well,
possibly,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Fed has to have oversight. I think we have to understand what's backing these things, who's involved. There has to be, we don't want a bunch of crooks out there issuing cryptocurrency and us investing in it and then losing our money.
Which has happened, right? It's been the wild,
Yeah.
wild west. The FTX, the Sam Bankman-Fried. There's any number of
Well,
celebrities and athletes and influencers who came out with their own crypto tokens or whatever that later found out that they were frauds or pump and dump. And I
yeah.
think that that's what they're trying to address here, right?
And what we don't want to do is get into a situation where the currency itself goes bankrupt and we lose all the money for the investors. I always think about the guy who bought the pizza with
10,000
cryptocurrency,
Bitcoins or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
which later came out to 232,000 when it went back up because it was actually worth nothing then. He was begging the guy to take it so he could get the pizza. But we don't want that to happen. But I think what the thing key here is that this bill, which the anti-CBDC bill, which barely passed the House, 219 to 210, very close vote. It prohibits the Federal Reserve from coming out with their own cryptocurrency. And I think that's good. If we're going to have a free market, then we ought to have a free market. I want them to oversee it, but I don't want them to actually come out with their own currency. And we have like, instead of dollars, we got crypto dollars. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
And I think a lot of people are afraid of that.
Well, I think the key takeaways from all of this, our conversation and recent legislation, and then just the environment, John, is that transparency matters. Um, there needs to be clarity in what the rules are and enforcing them. Due diligence for investors is key. Understand what you're investing in and why and what the risks are, and then the legal and financial results.
But remember that this is diversification that we're looking at, not so much as a majority of your investments. It is a way to diversify some of our portfolios, maybe not now, but in the future it will be. I mean, since 2020, you got to remember very few people, even the old people now, carry money. Most people use credit cards because with COVID, we couldn't use cash. And so everybody got used to using their credit card.
And they're doing away with the penny. No more
Yeah,
pennies after 2026 and no
yeah.
new pennies
They're
after
gonna
2026.
they're
Because,
gonna round up.
yeah, it costs what, 4 or 5 cents to make a penny. So they figured we probably shouldn't do that anymore.
If we just, if we paid a premium for you to turn your pennies in, how many pennies do you think are in piggy banks all over the United States?
And couch cushions and
Oh,
car seats. Yeah,
yeah.
a lot out there.
Yeah.
Well, John, we know that cryptocurrency is something that a lot of people have had very reasonable hesitation about.
Mhm.
However, we want to continue to keep people informed about how all finance continues to evolve and change and what moves it. And cryptocurrency is part of that conversation at this point in time. So
Yeah.
I know it's something that you've had questions on in conversations with your clients. You are still helping people to set up financially focused written retirement plans to help them achieve their long-term goals. And regardless of what is included in that conversation, you're customizing and specifying specific plans for those individuals, personalizing those plans.
That's right, Peter. That's what we really want to do is make sure that we personalize the financially focused income plan to each and every individual. But we have to look at all the diversification, all the things that we can do. And cryptocurrency is going to be one of them in the future. They will come out with a system like stocks and mutual funds and ETFs where we can trade these things in our portfolios, hold them at Schwab and the other custodians, and they will be part of the normal transaction eventually.
Well, again, if you would like to get your written, financially focused retirement plan put together, pick up the phone, give John Kuykendall a call, or they would love to hear from you. They offer putting that plan together as a courtesy service for listeners and viewers of the show. All you need to do is call 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. 386-755-9018 or visit online gulfcoastfinancial.net, gulfcoastfinancial.net. And John, I know you'll stay up to date on all the laws, the one big beautiful bill and tax rates, the crypto week initiatives, and anything affecting our finances. You seem to stay right on top of, and we do
Well,
appreciate that.
well, we try, Peter. We want our clients informed. We want to make the best decisions. We want them to make the best decisions they can make.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more financial focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovacs Securities Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc. is not affiliated with with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions. GulfCoast Financial Services Inc. has been named as Best of the Best since 2015 in the category of Best Financial Advisor in the Lake City, Florida area. The award was based on receiving the most votes in this category from a survey offered and tabulated by the Lake City Reporter. No direct or indirect compensation was provided to the Lake City Reporter and/or any raters, and the award is not contingent on future direct or indirect compensation offered to the newspaper and/or raters. Portfolio performance is not a criterion, and voting is open to any readers of the newspaper.